Welcome to the Next Big Flip podcast, where small flips lead to big wins. I'm your host, LaJuan Diggs, longtime reseller and the author of 20 Years of Flipper and the Craigslist Hustle. Around here, the next big flip isn't always about making the most money. It's about the flip that mattered when you needed it most. Each episode brings you real stories, practical tips, and encouragement to help you start or grow your reselling side hustle, one meaningful flip at a time. The next big flip. Let's get into it. Okay, and so her Instagram profile reads, Furniture Flipper, glorifying God through my work, and also an Airbnb host from South Carolina. So Laura Valk, does that pretty much sum you up in a nutshell for this season of your life?
Oh, yeah. I tried to fit as many words as I could on that little bio because we have so much going on over here, but I'm really grateful to be able to do furniture flipping and run an Airbnb.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You said trying to fit as many words. I'm so thankful for Chat GPT. I'm like, no, do it in 100 characters.
I know. Yeah. Oh, especially when you're trying to post something on YouTube and you really do only have 100 characters.
That is fun. And so what stood out to me as I interview a lot of people who buy and sell and re-thrift items, but I came across your Instagram and I saw you just really killing the game and furniture flipping. I'm like, oh my goodness, who is this girl? I said, I'm going to take a chance, reach out to her and see if she wants to be on the podcast. And lo and behold, here we are. Yeah. So I am too excited to be talking to you right now.
Yeah, no, I'm excited about this opportunity too, because a lot of the times when new people message you, it goes in the request folder and you don't see it for a couple days.
Right.
Like, oh shoot, he messaged me a couple days ago and I hope he doesn't think that I'm ignoring him.
Not at all. And good. So you're located in South Carolina, is that correct?
Yes. Yep, Greenville, South Carolina. I was born and raised here, and I think I'm biased, but I think it's one of the greatest cities in America.
That's awesome. And you was telling me that it's like the rest of the country for the most part, pretty hot right about now.
Okay, yeah, that is my one qualm with South Carolina. It gets hot in May through December. So, but it's hot and humid, but I do work in a shed and I do have an AC unit in there. But an AC unit can only work so hard in 95 degrees. So
that is so true. Now, you said you're also an Airbnb host. Now, with your Airbnb, do you use any of your furniture that you restore to stage or to, use in your Airbnb as well?
Yeah. Crazily, I only did like one piece of furniture. But we did find most of the furniture we found was either thrifted or on Facebook Marketplace. Or like some kind of discounted store. But I think I wanted to separate those two because I was like, I already am doing this full time, like furniture flipping full time. I don't want to also have to add another layer to that for filling the Airbnb. But I did paint a lot of the house, a lot of the inside of the house, and then the entire outside of the house. So I at least use my paint sprayers for that.
How did you get into like Airbnb, and how was that going for you?
Well, we actually, that's kind of a longer story, but I'll do a quick version of it. But we stayed at a really cute Airbnb in Columbia, South Carolina for my husband's birthday right after we got married. And his birthday is right after Christmas. So I was trying to do something special so he doesn't just feel like overlooked because of the holiday. So this little Airbnb was not a tiny house completely, but it was a pretty small house, studio kind of style, a cabin, and it had a hot tub. And we just had so much fun and had kind of started dreaming up of doing an Airbnb after that. So we actually, for the longest time, we were like, how can we afford another house or another space to be able to do that? And then we were like, why don't we just do it out of our own house? So we rented out our personal house for a year and a half to save up money, and then bought another house with that money. Last November, we closed on a house that's just a couple minutes away from us, which is so nice because I'm the cleaner for the house, so I go over there all the time. And it's been super, super great. We've been really, really grateful that it's been successful so far, because it is a risk at the end of the day. You never know how many people are actually going to rent it out, but we did have a little bit of security knowing that our house did so well and we're only a couple minutes away, so surely it's going to be okay.
That when I tell you, like, this episode is about furniture flipping, but what you just mentioned right there in the last 90 seconds, I guarantee you a lot of my listeners are like, maybe I could do something like that. So thank you
Oh
so
yeah.
much for sharing that, because that's some great insight.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, anyone can do that. For the most part, you have to look at your local laws, but it is a lot of effort to pretty much pack up all of your stuff and move for a weekend or whatever. But we don't have kids in this season and thought, like, this is going to be a great way for us to make some money and be able to save up to put a pretty good down payment on another house, because when you buy your first investment property, you have to put down at least, I believe it's 20%. So more than your primary residence. So it was
Right.
really important for us to save the money that we made so that we could put it into another investment property.
That's nice. Now, Airbnb is one thing, but how did you get introduced to the idea of flipping and reselling furniture?
That goes all back to my faith, really, because I don't have a background in furniture flipping or restoring things really at all. Um, I did have to do a couple of things for our house when we first moved, because we got married pretty young, like a year outside of college, so there wasn't a ton of money for filling an entire house. That takes so much. So I was like, well, I can probably figure out how to paint a couple things. So I did that for us, and just really just because we needed it. And then I had a degree in marketing, and I worked at a marketing agency at the time. And after after working through a season of COVID, working from home with a marketing agency, I was like, I just cannot do this. I'm not meant to be behind a computer all day long. I missed the social environment and just getting up every 30 minutes to go chat with your friends just as a mental break. I was like, I cannot do this anymore. So, um, once that realization hit, I was like, I really need to start praying about this, because I do not know what I like. Like, I truly did not know what I was passionate about or what interested me. So my answer really came through prayer, through conversation with trusted friends, and my husband and my family to help kind of figure that out. And eventually that led me to a YouTube video from the channel DIY Wife. They have a pretty big channel, and it was a simple video on the couple making several thousands of dollars in a month using furniture flipping as a side hustle on top of their full-time jobs. And I was like, oh, okay, if they're just doing that as a side hustle and they made all that money, I can do that if I pursue this full time. Turns out they're probably in a big city where they can sell furniture for much more money, and there's more of a market for that. But either way, it convinced me, and really that one video was all it took for me to at least take the step in trying it. I wasn't sure how it was going to work out, but I was like, okay, let me just see how this goes. And so I started my first flip and my Instagram while I still had my other job, kind of as like a security just in case it didn't work
Right.
out.
And what's so interesting in looking at your Instagram, you would think that you were born and raised like in a household of furniture flippers. You just make
Yeah.
it look so easy. I'm like, oh my goodness, she is really killing the game, along with several other females who are doing
Yeah.
furniture flipping. And it's, for some reason, this is like like all my viewers, they just love seeing furniture flipping, especially
Yeah.
from females.
Yeah, I don't know. Something that I have found is that people are very interested and very opinionated about furniture flipping. It's a particular um, job that people have a lot of opinions about, which is good and bad, but everyone has furniture and everyone has a style. So we all do have opinions about it. Whereas my husband is an accountant and no one really, has that many thoughts on that.
Right.
You're not going to have the hater comments about that. But there are lots of different people out there who like things a certain way, and this particular environment kind of stirs up people to either feel inspired to do their own DIY projects or be like, why did you do that way? And, both are engagement. So at the end of the day, it's okay with me.
I feel the same way because I get all the hater comments from some of the videos I repost, and people are like, I hate it. Why did you do that? I'm like, well, the buyer loved it.
Yeah. Like, well, that wasn't even me.
Right. That's true. That is so true. And I was checking out one of your videos and you had said, people always ask me, what's the scariest part of flipping? And then all of a sudden you zoom in on this big wasp just sitting there minding its own business on one of your blankets. So is that like a big thing, like a real thing, these insects and critters?
Oh, yeah. So I used to work truly out in the open, just in our backyard, with no kind of safety at all. So it was worse then, but now I work in a shed and they just get trapped inside of it. So I don't know really which one's better, because now I have to figure out a way to trap them or release them from the shed. So that's an adventure in itself.
It sounds like it. Now, when it comes to you getting like your items to restore or repurpose to reflip, where do you usually find them? Do you get them like garage sales, Facebook, Marketplace? What do you, thrift stores?
Yeah. When I first started, I found a lot through Marketplace or Habitat for Humanity Restore, which there was a store right down the road. So that was just super convenient for me. I actually had a friend introduce me to a app that showed you where the local estate sales were. And that is so fun, especially for the purposes of bidding, because you can get stuff sometimes really cheap. And, when you're trying to flip furniture, it's really important to get it at a low price so you can make a profit off of it. But my furniture flipping has kind of taken a turn in the last probably 2 years to be much more commission-based projects, where a client will give me something that they've owned for a really long time, or something that they just found at Goodwill or something like that. And they're like, hey, could you do so-and-so to this? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And so I'll take something that I don't even find myself. They give it to me and then I can flip it for them.
Nice. Now, so as I do this interview, I'm doing it not only as the host, but also as a listener and a learner. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. Now, you mentioned the app that helps you find estate sales. What's that particular app? Do you mind sharing?
Oh, yeah, totally. This has been super helpful for me because I had heard of estate sales, but normally you just like see a sign on the side of the road if you're lucky.
Right.
But this app is literally just called estatesales.net. And it's an app that you put in your location and it will show you local estate sales. And sometimes they are in person only, or sometimes they actually post it all online and you can just bid online and then you go pick up in person.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing that. This interview has been amazing so far. And before we transition into the next segment of the interview, I wanted to take a quick moment just to remind myself and also introduce some of my new listeners to the reason why I started doing the Next Big Flip and the Next Big Flip podcast. I can remember years ago in the early 2000s when I really needed a push, like a boost in life at the time. I had been laid off from my employer. All of my benefits as far as insurance and government benefits that I have been receiving were coming to an end, but I was working a moving job with one of my brothers, and the client there had gave him a dryer. He didn't need the dryer. I didn't need it either. But lo and behold, I had heard of this small little website at the time called Craigslist. And so he gave me the dryer, said I could sell it and keep the profits. Well, I put it on Craigslist, and within an hour it sold for $75. And that was the beginning of what I would like to call my light bulb moment. Since then, I've written The Craigslist Hustle, and I also released a new book called 20 Years of Flipper, and it just pretty much is a self-help book along with a story format, just inspiring listeners and readers such as yourselves who are either already side hustling or looking to start a side hustle. So I would encourage you to go and check out 20 Years of Flipper. You can find it at nextbigflip.com. Again, the book is 20 Years of Flipper, which can be found on Amazon, but also through my website, nextbigflip.com. Now let's get into the next portion of this interview where Laura talks about how she goes about finding items that are worth flipping. As when you first started out, or even now with your non-commission projects, how do you know if something is even worth trying to flip? Do you have any tips for beginners to spot value?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Something that I have learned over the years is making sure you're looking at the condition of it and also knowing your skill level with being able to restore certain like levels of that. So I initially would get pieces that were way more messed up and then have to actually fix a lot of the base and the body of the piece, and now I try to avoid some of that, and I try to stick to things that are more like surface level scratches, or fixing a corner of something, or things that don't take as much time, because at the end of the day you're probably going to sell it for the same amount as if there was a broken drawer on it and you had to fix the drawer and it took you so much more time, but you end up selling it for the same amount. So I do not like to mess with broken drawers. Those take so much time. They are built in so many different ways. So with older pieces, they have different joints that sometimes can get out of whack when they've been used so much, but because they were made more high quality, then sometimes they can be easier to fix, where new stuff nowadays, if they are built on certain like rails and tracks, and those get messed up, or sometimes they're metal and they can get bent out of shape, and you have to completely replace it, that sometimes costs a lot of money, but it also takes so much time, because it is so important that you get that perfect, or else the drawer is not going to slide properly. And I have learned over my time that I just don't even like messing with the piece that has messed up drawers. It's been a absolute headache in some scenarios. So at any time I see something on the road or I'm at a store, I check the drawers first. Do those slide? If they do, then I'm like, okay, that's step one.
Well, there went my next question, because my wife wanted me to ask, could you fix one of the drawers on our dresser? So
no,
I guess we'll just take that off.
There are plenty of YouTube videos. You can search for that. And I've done that more than enough. But, sometimes things are just too tricky, or, just take too much time and effort. I guess it's not even worth it at this point.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, it's one thing to do what you're doing, but it's another thing to actually share it, like on social media. And so I'm going to put like all your links to Instagram and all of that, because I definitely believe my listeners need to go and see what you're doing. But what inspired you to share it with people?
Well, that at the beginning was how I had planned to sell my furniture, which is interesting because I don't really do that much at all now. Because I posted on Facebook Marketplace, but I also thought, oh, I bet my friends would want to buy stuff too.
Right.
And then as my following grew, I was like, a lot of these people don't even live close to me. And I know that there are ways for you to ship your furniture, but I have not even gotten into that yet. So I pretty much only sell my furniture locally.
Okay.
So now my profile has more become a portfolio for clients to see what I can do if they want things done a certain way. But it also has turned into a how-to. environment for people to be able to learn how to do things, where at the beginning I really was just trying to show the pieces that I'd flipped and was trying to sell them.
Wow, that makes a lot of sense. And so I'm so glad that you did, because you're helping a lot of people, and I came across you, and I'm learning myself. So I may be able to fix this drawer for my wife so she'll stop nagging me. Now, what's one flip that you felt like was your next big flip? Not necessarily something that brought you a lot of money, but one that really helped you to keep going and stay in the game.
There was a piece that I had found on the side of the road. I was on a walk in my neighborhood, and I don't necessarily live in a neighborhood that people are putting furniture out on the road all the time.
Right.
So this was kind of unusual that I ran across this, or I walked across this, I guess. But this piece was turned upside down. All of the drawers were out, but I was like, I think this looks kind of cool, but I can't really tell. So at the time I had a little RAV4, and you can fit anything in a RAV4.
Yes, you can.
That I found out. I walked back home, and I got my car, and I went back over there, and I loaded that thing up by myself because my husband was at work.
Come on, you go, girl.
I've learned how to do that too. Luckily, no injuries yet, but I brought it home. When I turned it right side up, I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is a legit mid-century modern dresser. And it was pretty beat up, but the drawers were actually in decent shape too, so that was a win. But I decided to paint it in more of a like geometric modern type way, because it was pretty damaged from being outside and being on the side of the road. I was able to save some of the wood, but the way I wanted to paint it was just like kind of a different style than I had done before, and I was just so excited about finding something like that on the side of the road, because that was actually the first piece that I found on the side of the road, and it was maybe one of the best things even to this day that I found on the side of the road. So it encouraged me to, always keep your eye out for things, because you never know what you're going to find, because it was flipped upside down, and you would have never known what it was unless you did something to it,
Oh my goodness. Congratulations to you. And as they say, one person's trash is another person's treasure. And so That's a beautiful story. Yeah. Now, what's something you wish you knew earlier about flipping that might have saved you some time or money? You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. So there are lots of different products out there and lots of different tools out there. And something that I wish I'd known earlier was the importance of researching all of that, and not just buying something based out of convenience, such as something that you use all the time, which is like a cleaner. When you're first cleaning off the piece, invest in a good cleaner. It's not even that much more expensive, but I like to use a product called Crud Cutter or TSP, both really good products, and cleans pieces super well. A good primer. I always use a shellac based primer, because most of the time the pieces that you get do need a primer, whether the paint that you buy says you do or not. And then lastly, a high quality paint sprayer. It took me a long time to feel confident to be able to use a paint sprayer, and I did a lot of things by hand, and I still do some things by hand. It truly just depends what I am working on, but I over time have worked my way up to a really high quality paint sprayer from Wagner, and I bought probably 3 different paint sprayers, and trust me when I say that spending the money and investing in a good paint sprayer is worth it. It is actually so much better finish wise, getting a smooth finish on your piece, and the amount of paint that it takes up too is just so much more efficient than a $50 paint sprayer.
Wow, thank you for that information. And more importantly, Wagner, if you hear that, you may want to sponsor some upcoming
No, I
episodes.
mean, I'm not gonna lie. It's worth sending a message to brands once you have a decent following and saying, "Hey, would you want to work with me? Because you might get some free stuff."
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you.
yeah.
Note taken.
It worked for me. It could work for you.
Hey, I believe it, and you will be one
Yeah.
of the first ones I come back and say, Laura, it worked, it worked, it worked.
Well, actually, that is actually a good piece of advice that was given to me. Was I've been waiting around for a long time for brands to reach out to me to work with them,
Okay.
and I had a friend who is a influencer just for her everyday life, and she was like, I actually have to reach out to them a lot of the times. And I was like, oh, really? I don't know why. I never even thought about that. So I messaged a couple brands that I actually really do love and I actually use their products. And it was worth it.
Come on. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for that. I appreciate that. And more importantly, I know some of my listeners, once again, their minds are churning like, okay,
Yeah.
let's do this.
Yeah.
Now,
My husband always says the worst thing they can say is no.
come on,
And
that's
I'm
good
like,
advice.
yeah, you're right. I think I was worried so much about being embarrassed if they thought something about my profile or didn't think I was worthy or whatever,
Yeah.
and he was like, just try, you never know. And then suddenly I get some things in the mail.
Oh my goodness. And in that last minute that you just said, those are real fears that people deal with. And then your husband's response is a real comment. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just a real reality. All they can say is no.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
just so much. We can write a book from this episode. I'm excited. And speaking of books, is there a book or a podcast or a tool that has helped you in your flipping journey along the way?
This is controversial. I'm
Okay.
not a big podcast girl, even
Okay.
though I'm on a podcast right now. I when I'm working, I'm in the zone, and I it's so hard for me to absorb anything else other than what I'm focused on. And a lot of people listen to podcasts when they're at work, and I'm like, I can't really do that, especially when I'm using a sander and it's like so loud and I have to use ear protection
Right.
for it. But I had to go back to YouTube and like you mentioned earlier, all the females out there that are so like encouraging and inspiring on social media that really just have gone for it and have made a platform for themselves. So there are two girls that I like to follow, and that have been for me just really inspiring again, but also like have been willing to message me back on Instagram, which a lot of the times, like these people that have bigger names, sometimes you get a little worried about if they're actually going to respond to you or not.
Right.
But the first one, she's actually local in South Carolina too, so that immediately we could relate on a lot with the heat,
Right.
Her name is Evergreen Restorations. She has been really, really helpful with just giving me advice for certain things. And then another girl that I really like to follow is Furniture Doctor.
Okay.
She has a massive following. She does a ton of how-tos and is really, really impressive. And I love watching all of her stuff.
Nice. And I will definitely go and check out their socials as well, just to see what I can find. Now, as we get ready to land this plane, is there any advice you would give someone who may be hesitant to start a side hustle in furniture flipping?
Do the research, because it's really important for you to know if this is worth it for you. Do you like doing this? Do you have a space to do it? I know I've had a couple of friends reach out to me and ask about doing it themselves, and they're like, well, I live in an apartment, and unfortunately that is a really big barrier, that you don't have the space for it. It's really important to be able to do that in a safe environment. And also, you don't want to ruin the apartment that you're in with paint. And also just the time and energy that it takes to be able to learn a lot of this stuff. Like I said, is this something you're really passionate about? Because it does take a lot of trial and error. So I would say that is really important, but I just think it's worth a try. I have a lot of friends recently that, we're getting to our later 20s, and some of them are starting to realize that the degree or the job that they went into right after college isn't something that they actually really love, and are starting to pursue side hustles. And they've been really inspired by me just jumping in and doing what I'm doing. And then I don't say that to be prideful at all, but just that, like, it does take a lot of risk. And I do think that there is so much value that comes from you being able to put your full yes on the table to something that excites you. And, if the Lord has put it on your heart, there's a reason for that, and you don't want to ignore that. So, I think that focusing on the gifts that you have and kind of exploring other opportunities for yourself is really important as you get into, what do I really like? What am I actually passionate about? Is this something that I really want to do long term? Because side hustles don't always have to be side hustles. Those can turn into full-time gigs,
When I tell you that right there, side hustles don't always have to be side hustles. They can turn into full-time gigs. And that is the absolute truth. And so, Laura, I'm so thankful for this time with you. Thank you for sharing your heart, being vulnerable with my listeners. And I definitely believe that some people are going to get encouraged from this. And so, listeners, make sure you go and check out the links that I post on Laura and see the amazing work that she's doing. And this is the Next Big Flip podcast. Let's get it.